Good evening. Welcome to the latest live edition of Last Bowl Boxing. It's Sunday night special. Joined by co-host Ander. Good evening, Ander.
Evening, mate. How are you?
Yeah, it seems like we might have a bit of delay, so just bear with us, guys. So, obviously, we come on to talk about Usyk last night and Daniel Dubois, the low blow, and a bit about the undercard as well. So, I'll take your thoughts on the fight first, and then I'll come in afterwards.
Okay. I thought Usyk was cruising the fight. He didn't look like he was in any sort of trouble at any point. Daniel Dubois did all right. He did better than I thought he was going to do, if I'm honest, Cole. But until the controversy of round 5, I don't think Daniel Dubois was in the fight at all. Usyk was in second gear. Didn't have to do anything more than he was doing. He was winning all the rounds. And then the controversy of round 5, which we'll talk about shortly. And it kind of flipped the fight on its head for a
So, in the sidebar, Joe, good evening, Joe. If you want to jump on, by all means, jump on. Give us your thoughts, Joe, on the Usyk fight last night. Anybody else in the chat bar, feel free to jump on camera, share your views, comment in the sidebar. Obviously, a controversial fight last night. Thoughts on whether it's a low blow. Thoughts on how long Usyk was given to recover. Thoughts on the referee. Some interesting comments from pundits regarding the referee and what his performance looked like. So, get involved. Post your comments in the side. Just why Andy sorts his technical issues out. I'll start to give my view on the Usyk fight. I'm not just sure it's a low blow. It depends what the referee agreed in the changing rooms before the fight, but it didn't look low to me. Usyk's only ever been dropped in the amateurs and pros from body shots. So, obviously, Don Charles and Danny Dubois' game plan was clear from the start. Plenty of body shots getting whipped in during the pre-fight build-up, open workout. It was clearly evident that there's going to work to the body. You don't like it to the body, you see. You've got to be good enough to get in that position. But I just thought it was very interesting. So, Andy, let's try again.
Sorry about that, mate. I don't know what's.
No worries.
So, as I was saying, I think Usyk was cruising the fight, mate. I don't think I didn't give Daniel Dubois a round at all. I don't think Usyk got out of second gear. He didn't have to box out of his skin. He was fighting within range. Dubois didn't really do anything to put him under pressure. And that's what he needed to do very early in the fight. He didn't do it. Usyk got himself into a rhythm in the first 3 rounds. And it was just going to go that way. And then, obviously, the controversy of round 5. I'll give you my opinion on that in a minute. That was the opportunity for me for Dubois to jump on him. Whether you think it was a low blow or not, that was his opportunity. He should have jumped on him then because Usyk was clearly distressed. He was in trouble.
Yeah, he'd lost his head.
Yeah, he was in trouble, mate. He was in trouble. He was distressed. Whether it's a low blow or whether it's a legal blow, it hurt him regardless. So Daniel should have jumped on him there, and then he probably would have stopped him. But he allowed him to get back into that rhythm again. By the end of the round, he was back in his rhythm again. I mean, there was over 2 minutes left in the round, wasn't there?
2.5 minutes, roughly. Right.
So, yeah, I don't understand it. By the end of the round, Usyk was back in his rhythm, and that was good night. That was Daniel Dubois' chance over. So, I don't know what you've just said while I've been off the screen, mate. Have you spoke about the low blow stroke legal blow?
Yeah, so I just touched on it briefly. I mean, Joe in the sidebar said Andy had 5 minutes to recover, chance gone. I just thought it was a very poor performance by the referee. We don't know what he said in the changing rooms before the fight regarding what's low and what's not.
No.
Usyk clearly doesn't like it to the
No.
body. He got dropped in the amateurs. Personally, I didn't think it was a low blow. And then personally, I also think they gave Usyk far too long. Even disqualified Dubois for a low blow. He didn't even take a point. So, accidental low blow, what does that mean? I just thought it's very, very, strange. It's very strange.
Well, you're allowed 5 minutes. For a low blow, you're allowed 5 minutes recovery.
You take a point then, or 2 points.
Well, yeah, but the referee was poor, don't get me wrong. But by letter of the law, Usyk didn't take any longer than he should have, because you're allowed 5 minutes in it. He only took 3 or 3.5. So he was well within the limit. So to put that one to bed. What I do think is Usyk used all of his experience and manipulated the situation, because he was clearly hurt. Whether it's a low blow or not a low blow, either or, he was clearly hurt, and he took all of the time he needed to get his breath back. And that was enough, wasn't it? He took the time on the floor, then he took the time when he stood up.
I think there's a lot of truth in what Derek Chisora says, where there's no way they was going to let Daniel Dubois walk out with them belts last night. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah, but you can say that, Carl, but did Daniel Dubois do enough to take them titles?
I think Daniel Dubois stopped Rose last night. I don't think anyone gave him. If we're honest, none of us thought he had that performance in him.
I agree with you. I thought Usyk would stop him early. Daniel Dubois did better than I thought, but then again, like I've just said, I don't think Usyk got out of second gear.
I'm telling you what, if that Usyk turns up against Tyson Fury, he gets absolutely flattened.
Yeah, but he wasn't against Tyson Fury. He was against Daniel Dubois.
I'm just saying. I just thought Tyson. Let's put it this way: I think Tyson Fury will fancy that fight even more now than he did before.
Yeah, without a doubt, mate. Usyk was poor. I agree with you.
So I'm just going to put some comments up in the side. So Adiri Pennant, good evening, Mr. Pennant or Mrs. Pennant, clearly said Daniel Dubois was robbed. Joe says 2 things. 1, Usyk has been calling his own fouls for years now. 2, if it was Dubois who was it with that shot, would he have given him the count, as in the ref?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I've seen a clip today of a shot that Anthony Joshua landed on Usyk. It's exactly the same place on the belt line, and Usyk again calls it as a low blow, and the ref gives him a bit of time. The ref fell for all the tricks in the book. But on the night when it happened, mate, straight away I said that's a legal shot. Usyk's fooled the referee here. But since I've watched it back, if you look at how low Usyk's shorts are, you can almost see his belly button. So you can't say that if you land on the belt line, it's legal, because it all depends on how high the shorts are, and the shorts were really low.
And also, Don Charles should have called it as soon as he got in the ring. If he had a concern about how high or how low his shorts were, Don Charles should have been all over it. Well,
normally you'll see it when they come face to face in the ring just before they're about to fight. You'll see a referee will say he'll touch the belt line and he'll go, "That's legal," or "That's illegal," depending on how high each fighter's got the shorts. Now, I didn't see him do that. Whether he did it in the changing rooms is another matter. But the way that Dubois' camp are going on, and well within the rights if they think it was a legal shot, then clearly the ref didn't make that very clear. But from my perspective, like I say, originally I thought it was a legal shot, and I tweeted to that remark as well, saying I think Daniel Dubois has been robbed out of the heavyweight titles. But now I've watched it back and I've seen slow-mos and I've seen stills. I think it's low if you take into consideration where the height of Usyk's shorts, because like I say, you can almost see his belly button. So if you think about it, you got his belly button, then you've got a good 2 or 3 inches of a belt line below his belly button. Now you do that on yourself, and you'll see how low that is.
Yeah, like I said, I think Don Charles should have pulled it if he had any concerns. I think it's a grey area, and I think it depends what the referee said before the fight in the changing rooms, and we'll never know.
Interesting one from Joe there. Same referee as the Joshua fight.
Yep, and again, Adiri Penn and Daniel Dubois should use a cross-arm guard to protect himself. I was impressed with Dubois last night.
I was until the end, Cole, because he got put down with almost a straight jab.
It was knackered though, wasn't it? He was knackered.
Do you think he really left it all in the? Do you think he really left it all on the line though? Because
maybe not, but
it's like he took a knee again, Cole.
It was shattered, wasn't it? I didn't like the way it ended, don't get me wrong, because he got up at 9.5, 10, didn't he? He knew what the score was there. But it was spent. But I never thought he had that performance in him. I'm not saying he'll beat Usyk, but he's 26. So he's got time.
He has, yeah. Yeah.
You know, whereas the rest of the top division.
Do you think he'll get a do you think he'll get an automatic rematch?
Yeah, because Warren's quite powerful, isn't he? I think Warren will get him one with the IBF, yeah.
The problem you've got is that all of the governing bodies have got to agree. Because if not, then Usyk's going to get stripped by at least
It's an unsatisfactory finish, though, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It is, but they've all got to agree, and there's nothing to say they're all going to agree. The thing you've got, hindsight's a wonderful thing. We've all had the opportunity to see this shot hundreds of times in slow mo, different angles. The referee gets one shot. He gets one chance. Yeah. And if he doesn't see it clearly, which is kind of on the blind side a little bit, if he doesn't see it clearly, or in slow-mo like we have 1,000,001 times, and to be honest with you, we've all seen it 1,000,001 times and we don't agree.
See, that was an interesting shot to bring VAR in.
Yeah. The thing is, how do you do that in a sport where the flow of a round is a massive thing? Can you really just stop the action for 2 minutes while somebody in a booth decides whether a shot's low or not?
Depends how quick they can get the reaction into it, you know, the angles and things like that. But Joe comes up with an interesting one. It looks like the IBF are ready to call in mandatory next week. That's Ergovic, right? Am I right?
And apparently Ergovic has refused to take step aside money. So the likelihood is that if the other two governing bodies agree to a rematch and the IBF don't, he'll get stripped by the IBF.
The blueprint's there to beat Usyk.
Oh, without a doubt. He clearly is not comfortable with body shots. And Daniel Dubois, if you look at the height, Daniel Dubois is maybe an inch or two taller than him. He wasn't massive. Imagine what it's like taking a shot off somebody, body shots off somebody with the length of arms of Tyson Fury.
Or Ergovic.
See, I don't think Ergovic is that much taller either.
Yeah, he's a big old lump. I wouldn't know where he is, but I know he's taller than Usyk, I'm sure he is.
Well, I've not been convinced. I said it on one of the other shows, mate. I've not been convinced of Ergovic in the last two fights. I think he's been very poor. Anybody that's as big as he is, though, if you landed a body shot clean, it's going to work. And clearly, for whatever reason, Usyk don't like body shots. So that's
in every way. That's why.
If he's got a flaw, Cole, that's his flaw. And somebody will end up.
Well, look how he went down under. He went down. It was heavy. What heavy?
Like mate. He was blowing really, really badly.
He was done.
He was, yeah. I said on my tweet last night, I don't think if that referee had counted, I don't think he'd have got up.
No way.
There's been the thing is, right. There's been lots and lots of ex-pros, professionals from the boxing world, and they don't agree. I mean, Paul Smith is one of them. He says it was definitely a low blow, and then you've got other people like Cole Frampton on the night saying Daniel Dubois has been robbed. Sam Jones, Daniel Dubois should have won the fight. They should have counted it. Want a low blow.
Ben Oliver.
There's lots of people, mate. But then, and again, there's other people that have come out, Adam Booth, and other people that have come out saying the same thing as Paul Smith, that it was a low blow. So And that's with hindsight. That's with looking at it a load of times. So if boxers and people that have had a lot of experience in the sport can't agree whether it's a low blow, then the governing bodies might struggle here, mate.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dubois, Frank Warren, Queensborough Promotions, they're going to put a complaint in. They're going to.
The only thing about Dubois is Frank Bruno-esque in the way he stiffens up when he takes a shot. That's what would worry me moving forward.
Dubois can't lace Frank Bruno's boots, mate.
I'm not talking as a talent. I'm talking in style. The way when he takes a shot, he stiffens up, which opens him up to further shots, and that would be a concern. The problem
is always with Daniel Dubois for me has always been that since he made his debut, he was handled very well and given the right fighters that weren't really going to trouble him. He comes up against Joe Joyce and gets beat with a jab. Yeah,
he's probably a better fighter now than he was then.
Yes, but who has he fought since Joe Joyce? Nobody. Nobody. He got put down. And I know he was injured afterwards, but he got put down by a cruiserweight in his last fight. He showed heart because of his injury to win that fight. I get that. But even so, he got put down by a cruiserweight. And now he's got beat by a lot of people will say another cruiserweight. You know, that's not a massive heavyweight. I just don't. Maybe Daniel Dubois is one of these fighters that isn't really trainable. He's got a lot of power. He has a couple of basic shots, Cole, but can he be taught anything else?
Probably not. He's very one-dimensional.
He's his second trainer. You know, if he was going to come on, he should have come on with Shane McGuigan, because Shane's a very good coach. I know you like to wind me up about it, but Shane McGuigan's a very good coach. He's proved that with the amount of world champions he's had. But he didn't improve under Shane McGuigan, and that to me is that's a big shout. He's now gone to Don Charles, who's a very aggressive coach, and he still wasn't as aggressive as he should have been. It's as though he was scared in case something come his way. A little bit like Joshua's been for a while now. I'd like to see Daniel Dubois get another shot because it's controversial and because not everybody can make their minds up, and it wasn't completely clear. I'm on the fence with whether it was low or not. Now, I'll be honest. I'm not 100% sure it was legal. It wasn't completely low. It was on the belt line, but the belt was quite low.
I don't think it was low, to be honest.
So this is it. I mean, boxing's full of opinions. We've clearly got ours. If we're struggling, and boxing pros, ex-pros, whoever else on Twitter are struggling to all agree, then the governing bodies are going to struggle. If they can't make their minds up whether it's a low blow or not, I don't think Daniel Dubois gets a rematch.
Well, yeah. So Joe says, I thought they came in with a good game plan. It's still only 25. There's still time for the lad. Joe, I thought the game plan was a good one. It wasn't rocket science, so it wasn't, let's be honest. Work the body. And Joe said belt line was high, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Yeah, I don't think it was low blow.
There's a still that Paul Smith put out on Twitter. It was after the fight, to be fair, and they could have pulled the belt down, but you can see his belly button. And certain points in the fight, you could see his belly button as well. That's not a high belt line. That's quite a low belt line. How many other fighters do you see the belly buttons when they've got?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to what I said before. It all depends what that referee said in that changing room before the fight.
Yeah. And that's obviously something that the governing bodies have got to take into consideration when they make the decision. Be interesting to see what happens, but I've got a feeling that if they decide in Dubois' favour, I think Usyk will get stripped of that IBF belt.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Depends what Warren does. Like I said, Warren was talking big last night, once about what he was going to do and what he wasn't. Let's see the cold light of day.
Emotions were on all that, weren't they, mate?
Yeah. So do you want to move on? Do we move on to Ahmed's fight? You know, what was a big waste of time in my view, but
yeah, I'm not going to go in on him, Carl. I tell you for why, mate. The kid's not had a fight in anger in his whole career. He's not fought.
I just don't understand, Andy, why put it on as co-main then on a big show like that? What's all that about?
You told me.
It shouldn't have been on there.
Ask K2 Promotions, mate.
Well, it's nonsense, isn't it?
Well, it is nonsense, but you can't blame the kid for that.
No, like I said, I don't recall blaming the kid, but what I'm saying is it's nonsense. It was a one-sided beatdown, and he just did, like I said, it just there's no common sense in putting it there, really.
No. I agree. I completely agree, mate.
Strange.
It should have been a better. I mean, the Anthony Yiggett fight was great in comparison. Very back and forth. I mean, his name got him as co-main, and his dad's influence got him as co-main.
Well, I've got a feeling it'll be Skills Challenger who paid the fee for that, because I'm sure he's got connections with them out in Saudi Arabia, so I won't be surprised.
Yeah, you're probably right, mate. You're probably right. They've probably paid for the slot, and that's fair enough. They want to get his name out there. They need to be very careful, though, don't they? Because although he looks like he's skilled, although he looks like he's been drilled by his dad and he's been around places, different gyms and all that, he's only going to learn in the ring. And that's his first fight in anger. He never had any amateur fights, no white collars, no nothing. That's his first fight. He's gone out to a 40,000 arena, mate, and to be fair to him, hasn't phased him one little bit. So the confidence is there. He's obviously got that off his old man. It is what it is for me. I agree with you. It shouldn't have been co-main. The guy was in there just as a punching bag. I agree with that as well, because he didn't throw anything back. But I'm not gonna, I don't think that's Adam Hussein's fault. It's like you say, it's either K2 Promotions or
where'd you go to next then? Because obviously he ain't gonna be fighting at 40,000 stadiums month in, month out.
No, it depends. Like you say, it depends who he's signed to. If he's signed to Saudi Arabia, he's going to be fighting out on their shows, and he's going to be high up on bills. It is what it is, but this is the way boxing's going, mate.
Yeah.
Half the time it don't make sense, and this is one of them that didn't make sense. But I'm not going to, like I say, I've heard a couple of things from Talk Sport, and they've kind of got in on him a little bit, and it's a bit unfair. Don't bash the kid for being the son of a legend. It's not right. We've seen it time and time again. Campbell Hatton's had it. Conor Benn's had it. Eubank Jr.'s had it.
Yeah.
It's not really fair. Give him the opportunity to get some fights under his belt, and if you don't progress, then give it him. We've done it. We've all said Campbell Hatton, shouldn't have been fighting high up on the cards. Matchroom made the same mistake that these are making. They put him really high up on cards, and he got found out. And one of the fights that he got the result for, he should have lost. So they've realised that mistake, and they've put him on lower, right low. Sometimes not even on the live show. They've put him on before the bells.
Yeah.
They've learned from that mistake, and they've let the lad fight on the cards, but not with a full crowd. So the spotlight's not been on him so much. They should do that with Adam, but whether that will happen or not isn't going to matter, mate.
So do you want to come on to Yigit's fight and what happened afterwards?
Yeah, this is really really disappointing for me.
We better use the word allegedly somewhere here, because we haven't,
Well, this is okay. So I'm going from a message, whether it's an Instagram post or a tweet, I don't know, that Anthony Yiggit's put out after the fight. He lost into the Ukrainian lad.
Yeah.
Which I think was the right decision. But
Good
so
fight.
Anthony Usyk, it was a good fight. Anthony Usyk puts a message out over social media, standing outside a Polish hospital, and his version of the story is this: that after the fight, he got a cut, Cole, and he's quite swollen above both eyes. He got a cut. He goes back to the changing rooms. Now, I was hoping that Daz might be on tonight because I wanted his opinion of what happens at small shows in the UK. Because I know that at big shows, a fight goes back to the changing room, a doctor comes in and they stitch up a cut. Unless it's a really bad one. And then he goes to hospital. Well, this wasn't a really bad cut. It was a little cut that would normally get done in the arena by a doctor. By all accounts, Anthony Usyk went to 2K Promotions and said, right, where do I need to go to get me eye stitched? And they've said, you need to go to hospital. And he said, what do you mean? You know, it needs to be done here. And they've said, we don't have the facilities to stitch your eye in the arena. Which I find astonishing if that is the case. This is obviously an Anthony Usyk side of the story. He then said to him, okay, after kind of like, okay, if you can't do it. Can you take me to the hospital? And they've said no, because the ambulance is for emergencies only. So they refused to take him to the hospital. Eventually, after he kicked off enough, apparently they did take him in the ambulance, but they dropped him off at the door and left him. So he had to try and get into A&E. However, he managed to get the communication across that he was a boxer from the arena and he needed his eye stitching. I don't know, but that's what happened. And then he comes out afterwards, and no one's there to take him back. I find that whole situation absolutely astonishing, mate. From a promoter, K2 Promotions, a massive promotion, to do that to a fighter that's been in such any fighter on your bill, but to a fighter that's been in such a barnstormer of a fight, I find very amateurish. How have they not got the facilities to stitch somebody's eye in the arena, mate?
Yeah, if like I say, if it is true, because I've not seen the story, then it's a disgrace, if I'm honest. So Larry has joined in the sidebar. Good evening, Larry. He's put, I think it was borderline in terms of Dubois, Usyk. I don't think you can be too confident calling it either way. It's difficult to say for sure, as Usyk's belly button was not visible at the time of the punch landed.
Very true.
And he put, was it? And Joe says, was it Usyk's team who promoted the event? Yes, it was. It was K2 Promotions.
K2 Promotions, Joe. K2 Promotions, and so this Anthony Usyk situation, I think we'll roll on. I mean, I can't imagine K2 are going to be too happy with him putting a social media message out like that without some sort of a response. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, surely his corner went with him to the hospital, but he doesn't say that in the social media post. I think he just feels let down by the promoter, to be honest. Yeah, they need to be very careful, don't they?
So part two of Larry's comment. So he mentioned that the belly button was not visible at the time the punch landed. So we don't know what level is low and not low. My gut is telling me that the decision will always go in favour of the A-side fighter. Correct.
Yeah, that's right, Larry, but it shouldn't be that way, should it?
I'm not going to sit on the fence, Larry. I think Dubois was robbed, and I don't think it was a low punch. So there we go.
Okay, so, just one more from this card before we talk about the next topic. Hamza Shiraz. He was in with a guy that was about 3 foot smaller than him.
Yeah.
Polish lad who didn't really want to be there. Hamza Shiraz did a number on him. Looked fairly good doing it. The commentary team got so overexcited about Hamza Shiraz that they were comparing him to Tommy Earns. Come on, lads. I mean, They're saying that this kid was the best fight he's had in his career. Are they forgetting about Bradley Skeet? Are they forgetting that Bradley Skeet schooled him for the majority of that fight before the controversy? I'm not saying Hamza Shields is not a good fighter. He's clearly improving. I'm not knocking him, but it's not him I'm knocking. It's the commentary team. I mean, Jesus. Comparing him to a legend, firstly, it's putting too much pressure on his shoulders, but it's so far off the mark. It's so far off the mark.
Yeah, Frank Warren don't do him no favours whatsoever, does he? Warren's always heaping pressure on him about being the next big thing. What I've got to say about the commentary team, they're all on the payroll, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, they're not the only commentary team to do it. Boxer do it quite a lot as well. And so does his own. So
DAZN's terrible for it, mate.
So I just think so. Joe says in terms of being compared, maybe in physique, but that's about it.
In stature, that's about it, Joe. Completely agree.
Yeah, I just think yeah. So next topic then, and Andy, you still there?
I'm still here, mate. Yeah.
So, are we going to touch on Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith just quickly, and we'll do a bit more of a deep dive on Thursday?
Okay. So, sorry, I was I was waiting for you to put a banner up across the bottom.
No.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So obviously the gloves are off. I think it speaks volumes that Chris Eubank is still talking about the so-called elbow. I mean, it's clearly in his head. He clearly can't forget about it. He clearly can't forget about the loss. It's damaging to Chris Eubank, mate. That, and I think that's going to take its toll, and that'll be the defining thing in the fight, because he won't be able to get over it, and he'll come out blasting, trying to prove a point, and he's going to fall right into Liam Smith's trap again in this fight, just the same as the last one.
Yeah, I can't see what Eubank Jr. does differently, to be honest. I just think Liam's his kryptonite. I just think he's got his number. Sometimes in boxing, a fighter's got your number. I don't think he should be coming down to that. I think he belongs at super middle, if I'm being honest. I think Liam will dismantle him again. Bit longer this time, maybe 6, 7.
What do you think? What do you think about him leaving Roy Jones Jr. and going to Bomac?
I think it's mind games. Just because obviously Bomac does what he does with Crawford. He ain't no Crawford, is there? So, you can polish a turd, but it'll always be a turd. Eubank Jr. He is what he is. So I just think and also he hasn't had long enough to work with him, has he? If we're honest, so he ain't gonna be able to change anything about him. I just think Eubank. I think you're right in your analogy. I think Eubank's gonna come out and try and absolutely take Liam Smith's head off.
Well, that's all he knows, Cole. He tried for a couple of fights to fight a bit more like Roy Jones, and it clearly didn't work, did it? He looked awful in a few of his fights.
He hasn't got the skill set, has he?
No. So he went back to fighting his old way in the first fight. And that he's thrown lots of punches. He loves the uppercut. That's one thing Liam Smith needs to watch early on in the fight. But other than that, I don't think Eubank can do anything to damage Liam Smith. I don't think he punches hard enough, Carl.
Not at that weight, anyway. I believe his weight drained at that weight. So Joe said, I was with Junior in the first, and I'm with him in this. He will avenge the defeat, 7th round stoppage.
Joe, just for my curiosity, how'd you get to that? What has Eubank shown you that makes you think that he can do anything different in this second fight? Or what have you seen in Liam Smith to think that Liam Smith's not the fighter he was from the first fight. I'm just interested, Jay, because I can't see anything that Eubanks done anywhere in his career that tells me he's good enough to beat Liam Smith. What fighter has he beat that's been good enough, that's been better than Liam Smith?
Look at both resumes as well. You know, who Liam's been in with.
Night and day, mate. Liam's been world champion. He's been in with better fighters. The ones he's lost.
What I will say about Eubank Jr. though, he is one salesman because he reinvents himself every single press conference,
and everyone falls for it as well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he lost the last fight. He's very, very good at selling himself. That's why he's still getting these big fights now, and his resume is shocking, really. So, yeah, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype.
It's going to be interesting to see what Joe comes back with here. Joe, obviously, this, our show is all about opinions, and we respect yours. I just want your opinion on it, man. I just wonder where you get it from.
Joe, but learn to type quicker for crying out loud. It's only an hour show.
I just wonder where you get it from, Joe. That where you get the confidence in that Eubanks capable of beating him, because I've not seen anything in Eubanks' arsenal or his career that tells me he's capable of stopping Liam Smith. If it was at super middleweight, there's an argument there because he'll punch better, he'll punch harder.
Liam would never get up to that weight, would he?
No, he wouldn't, which is why it's not there. But yeah, I just don't see it. I just don't see. I mean, normally I'll try and see it from both sides and see where the fight can be won by another fighter. I just can't see where Eubank can win this fight. I just can't see it.
I don't think Joe can either. He's taking his time on his response.
Also, Joe, while you typing away,
God, don't give him two answers. Quick.
What's your opinion on the elbow in the first fight? Do you think it was an elbow, or do you think it was a follow through from the shot that was an accident? Because let's have it right. It only skimmed Eubank. It wasn't a full-on elbow.
I don't think it hit him.
I think it skimmed him, mate. I don't think it was enough to do the damage on the eye that he's making out it did. He's going on as though it was a UFC shot and he was laying on the floor and someone came down on top of him with an elbow.
Here we go. So Joe says, I think that weight cut from the Ben fight took a lot out of him. I do think this one will be closer. I just don't rate Smith as world class. He's lost to every class fighter he's faced. But who's Eubank beat who's world class then?
Eubank's not even faced anyone. Eubank's not even faced anyone world class.
That would suggest you're putting Eubank Jr. at world class. Wow, I need to go have another beer because that takes some comprehending. So
it's all about opinions, though, Joe. I do actually think that Liam Smith's world class. I think he's always been world class. He got beat by Canelo, who is going to go down as an all-time great.
He got beat by Munguia, and we've had it on very good authority that he's built. I'm not giving Liam excuses, and this hasn't come from Liam, but by all accounts, the fight build-up to that the camp was an absolute nightmare. I'd like to see him in Munguia again.
But look how good Munguia has been since, Cole. Look where he's gone to since. That fight in Russia, he got robbed. He didn't lose that fight. He got robbed. So he should be a two-time world champion.
He's showing what levels were when he got hold of Anthony Fowler, didn't he? He's showing what levels was all about.
Yeah. I think people... I'm not saying this is you, Joe, so... but please come back on it if you want to. People sleep on Liam Smith because he's not a flashy fighter. He does everything very, very, very well.
He's old school.
Is the sort of fighter that puts a fighter under pressure by not doing a lot. So he gets into the right positions, he feints a lot, gets his footwork in the right position, and it makes fighters work constantly.
I'm wondering if Joe might be related to Eubank Jr. But the elbow was accidental, but would have affected him in the middle of that combination. It didn't land.
I don't think it landed enough to give any impact in the combination. What gave the impact in the combinations were the shots that landed flush on Eubank's chin.
Yeah.
I hear you with the weight situation. I understand that. I think that potentially affected his durability. Whether it would have affected him enough to be, because he's had. I mean, Eubank's had. There's one thing you can say about Eubank is he's always had a great chin.
Yeah, and he had nothing that night, did he?
And his engine's always been really, really good. Those two factors keep Eubank in fights that he's losing, and normally he does 12 rounds because of it. But he had neither, so I understand where Joe's coming from here, and I'll give him what he's saying there. In that weight cut for Ben was horrendous. What was it, 157?
7, yeah. I mean, you've never seen Eubank wandering around the ring where you don't know where he is, like you did that night.
No, he's never even Cole. He's never looked hurt in a fight.
Yeah.
I don't remember Eubank being hurt in a fight before.
And I think that's dehydration.
Maybe, yeah, maybe he was banned. His legs were gone, completely gone. He didn't know where he was. He thought he was still in the fight because he went to go back at Liam again. So yeah, I hear you, Joe. Yeah, and I take that on board, and you're right about. Yeah, I think you're right about his durability, but I think it might be a mixture of that. The fact he's been out of the ring a while, and his age. I mean, he's agreed to come back down to 160 again. So, I mean, I think I think at this stage of his career, it's way too much of a weight cut. It's way too much of a weight cut. He should have took his loss as a man, and made a fight elsewhere. I mean, he's still talking about world title fights, for God's sake. How long is he gonna run that out before it actually happens?
He'll fight Ben.
When's he going to fight Ben for the world title?
If Ben's allowed to fight, he'll fight Ben. That's where his money is.
Yeah.
So, last one for the last 7 minutes, and did you see that Jared Anderson fight last night?
So I've seen bits of it.
It's about time you got
and the Americans, I've seen some of the social media comments, mate, and the Americans are going crazy again, like he's once again he's a world beater. He's fought nobody in this fight. He fought no one in the last fight. Charles Martin. No. Everyone's seen what's happened to Charles Martin when he's come up against anyone half decent. He's got destroyed. Well, Anderson made a massive meal of him, and he's made. I mean, he's fought this guy that's no more than a punching bag, Cole. Let's have it right. No more than a punching bag.
There's a bit of Jeff Lacey about this, isn't there?
Well, this is desperate Americans wanting another heavyweight legend.
Yeah.
They want another big heavyweight because
I don't think he's a man.
In America, mate, the heavyweight division is the only thing that matters in boxing. And and they haven't had it, had they? They've had Wilder, who you know, he was he had handpicked fights up until Fury. His fights were handpicked. He didn't fight his mandatory when he should have in White. White was it 2 years as mandatory, and that fight never happened. He picked other people instead, and that happened for loads of his other fights as well. It's to keep an American as a champion. Obviously, they thought they were getting Fury at the right time when he just come off that massive weight loss, so they took a chance and they got found out. So they're looking. Obviously, Wilder's not going to last much longer, mate. Maybe a couple more fights and he'll be done. So,
but they're talking like this guy. I won't name names to get boring, but there's certain Canadian colleagues are talking about this guy taking over the heavyweight division. Now, from what I've seen up to now, you've got absolutely no chance.
Certainly not in the foreseeable. He's only a young fighter, though. I'll give him that. He's 24, I think. I'll give him the props that he's got another 10 years potentially, if maybe even longer in the heavyweight division. Carl, he's got a lot of chance to learn.
I just don't think he's got it.
Well, I think the shots are there. What I'm slightly worried about is his power. I'm not seeing anything in the fights that makes me think he's got devastating power, and at world level, you need that.
Definitely at heavyweight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, let's call it a day then, Andy. So This has been Last Bell Boxing in proud sponsorship by LW Liftings. Live again on Thursday, likely to be 7 p.m, where we'll go a bit more in depth on the card of Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank.
Very good card.
If you haven't already done so, like, comment, and subscribe. We're also open to be at the Liam Smith build-up and fight night. But join us on Thursday, share your views, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for joining, Andy. Quality show as ever. Joe, thank you for the comments on the side. Thank you to all the people who joined tonight in the sidebar. Be sure to join us on Thursday, 7 p.m. UK time. This has been Last Bell Boxing. Good night.